So hey everyone, so I'm looking at the Never Fail bushing kit. We've poured all the parts out into the box here, and this is what the kit actually consists of. It's essentially new hanging brackets, bolts, as well as these Never Fail bushings. It's interesting, these bushings are supposed to never fail, but they feel like plastic. Actually, they're extremely light. They actually act like plastic. So I'm interested to see how well they work, even though they're supposed to have a very, very high success rate of never having a problem. The reason I wanted to do this video today is talk about an upgrade that I recently did where we added the Lippert Never Fail bushings along with the Joyrider suspension system. So what we added were the Never Fail bushings that go inside of the eyelet here, as well as on the Dexter Easy Flex equalizer. The bushings are made of a plastic material that will never fail or break down. Now, what we did, and what we didn't know at the time, was that typically when you put the bushings in, you apply a small thin layer of grease to drive the bushing in smoothly without marring or damaging it. But with the Never Fail bushings, apparently you're never supposed to use grease on them at all, because the grease can partially break down the compound that allows the bushing to never fail. So we're going to have to remove those bushings, clean them off, and reinsert them. But in the process of doing that, what we're going to do is replace these shackle straps. So these shackle straps that came with the Never Fail kit are only about 1/8 of an inch thick, which is a little bit thinner than the 1/4 inch thick straps that were on here, the Dexter ones. And even though these should really never have a problem, and they're probably more than enough, since I'm going to have to pull them off anyways, we're going to replace it with the MORryde 1/2 inch thick heavy-duty shackle straps. Also, the MORryde system is going to have wet bolts that come with it. I'm not going to need the wet bolts, but I'll have them, and what I've also heard is you can still use the wet bolts, you just can't apply grease to them once they're installed. So we may decide to go with that because the bolts are going to be a little bit longer than these bolts, so it makes it through the 1/2 inch shackle straps, which in total would equal 1 inch of spacing. You can see here where the painted finish starts to bubble off real quickly around things like the equalizer. I do have to say though, I've been very impressed with the Joyrider suspension system. It really does help reduce chucking. It really does help reduce the amount of, I guess, movement you feel in the trailer when you go over a bump. Typically when you go over a large bump, the back wants to kind of bounce up and down and you feel it move across the hitch of the truck. But with this Joyrider system, it really controls the suspension and the travel, so you don't deal with that nearly as much. Again, I apologize for the generator. It's only about 10 feet away from me. Now you can see I'm across the street from the generator in the RV, and you can tell that it's significantly quieter. Once you get about 50 feet away, which there's really nobody within that distance, it really gets quiet. And from the inside, you really can't hear it very much either. And to quickly talk about the generator, the one we have is an RV-specific generator by the company WEN, W-E-N. It's their 4750 watt generator. As I walk around the front of the truck, you'll see how it gets louder as I get closer to it, of course. But it's really not that loud, honestly.